go. We are streaming live, and we actually did it right today, day 2 of the revenue challenge. I am stoked to be with you guys today. I just finished with VIP. VIP, go in the chat right now and tell me, are you happy you upgraded to VIP? I want to hear a yes, no, no way, it sucks, no. Okay, yes, 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 yes. You! Awesome. Okay, so we just spent the last 45 minutes where we actually covered a lot in VIP. We had 3 different hot seats and talked about a couple things like how to increase your when you hit a ceiling financially, how do you actually increase your revenue? One of the coaching sessions came out to you're either going to increase your volume, which is your list of people that have access and know who you are, or you're going to change your packaging. Whether you're selling at $0 or selling at $80,000 or anything in between, you're going to change your packaging. So when people get stuck financially, it's going to be one of these 2 things. People are like, oh, it's messaging. That comes down to your survey. Are you actually messaging in a way that is client customer centric? Or are you still hearing yourself say things like, I feel like I really want to do this product. I feel like I really want to make this offer. If it's all about I, which is where illness comes from, we is where wellness comes from. Could you grab that real quick? We is where wellness comes from, and that's also connect with wealth. So all that to be said, I want you to really be paying attention today as we teach you how to sell out of your products and services. Okay, I'm just gonna move this over so that we have a fresh sheet. Okay, so here's the thing. I wanna know if Regina, are you on the live right now? Regina, is she a VIP or is she in the regular Facebook, YouTube group? Where is she? So Regina, and I cannot pronounce your last name. I'm gonna try. Oh my gosh. This is a courage moment. Okay, so Shazeniak? I don't know how to say your last name. It starts SZCZESNIAK. My mind is looking for a solution. And so Regina, you are the proud winner of a trip to Hawaii. So I'm going to send you to Hawaii so that you can have so much fun. So you have 1 year to use that trip. So you have a whole 12 months from today to use that trip and let us take care of you, nurture you, love you up on the beaches of Hawaii. And you're going to go in a classy way. You're going to stay in a beautiful hotel and you're going to go in a classy way. So we don't do anything that's not 5-star inside of hardcore business. So I'm happy to give you that trip. Thank you for your incredibly creative 50 ways to find the money post in the Facebook group. And that's why you are winning your Hawaii trip. We were looking at some of the ways that you actually are looking to actually find the money. And they were good. They were really good. They were solid. And so I'm going to segue and say that today we have another prize for doing homework. And can I just tell them I'm kind of excited about this one? Okay, so you got to stay till the end of today, which everybody's been staying, which is good. But I'm actually going to buy you lunch for 2 months because entrepreneurs literally don't eat healthy, or they don't eat good, or they don't eat. And so the people who do their homework tonight, which I'll tell you what the homework is after we train, we are going to choose somebody that I'm going to buy you lunch for the next 2 months. And so I think that will be pretty cool that you'll have it delivered to your house and you're going to eat healthy if you choose. If you don't choose to eat healthy, at least you'll eat. But we're going to set you up with that. Okay, let's talk about day 2 of the revenue challenge. So today is all about you selling out of your products, programs, or services. So there's nothing more frustrating than putting in a lot of work. Who are my people out there? You've been putting in a lot of work, but you haven't been getting the intended result, right? Like, you know that you should be further along than you are right now. Who are my people like that, right? It's like, you know that you should be further ahead. And it's like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And that the answer to that is there always is. Like there's a better way than even the way I'm going to teach you now. But this way has worked to consistently be able to sell out my products and services. In fact, I was coaching a friend of mine even this morning about a piece of this model that we're going to talk about. And I see when somebody is having a challenge getting their business to the next level or selling out, I always see it's a thinking process of how they actually think about making offers, how they think about their products and services. And a lot of times people, even when I tell them don't sell the product, sell the emotion, that's a tweetable moment right there. Don't sell the product, sell the emotion. They still sell the product. And even when I open up for Q&A, I'll be like, ask me a question. People tell me about, I have a 6-week this, or I have, a rehab company, or I sell newsletters for a living, or I, do people's hair, or I'm a stylist. And they tell me the thing they do. And you guys will understand me when I say this. Half the time we introduce ourselves like that. Or we even ask people, like, hey, Sean, what do you do for a living? I mean, it's actually quite rude, but it's what we do because we don't know how to connect anymore. We don't know how to connect anymore. And the people who know how to connect have the big Instagram channels, have the big, Facebook channels. They have the big email list. They have the sold out products and programs because they haven't lost the art of connection. And I don't think it's our fault. I think the amount of effort it takes for me to lock this phone up so that I don't get distracted on it, we are constantly distracted. In fact, I was talking to my husband in the car the other day, and he literally by habit picked up his phone. You know what I did? I got out of the car and shut the door and said, bye. He's like, what? And I'm like, I'm not gonna have a conversation with you if you're like sitting there on your phone. It's like, and it's because I'm so hyper aware of the fact that I don't want to lose my connectivity with you or anybody that I love in my life because of the fact that we are constantly being trained to disconnect. Okay. And so my camera's stuck on. I can't turn it off. That's so funny. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna teach you something called the empathy model. And when I teach this too, I need you to understand that your product, your service, your offer does not come before your positioning. So write that down. Your positioning comes before your offer. And write this cliff note down. When somebody asks you what you do because they don't know how to connect, then what I want you to understand is that you want to start sharing your positioning. So let me share an example. I'm a business coach. So imagine if you said, hey, Shanda, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a business coach. I help people build businesses online. Okay, like, so where do you go now? Even as an entrepreneur is my ideal client, right? It's like, where do you go now? You're like, your mind kind of goes blank. Okay, what does she mean? Like, or, okay, well, I'm doing business online. Well, what do you mean? Like, can you explain more? We don't want that. We want to start with positioning. We don't want to start with what do I do or what is my product. I mean, another way I have a business coaching program. We teach people how to build buyers lists in the form of email, and then we teach them how to sell to it. Get a little bit more specific, but it's still like, that's actually better than saying, I have a 1-year program that people meet with a coach twice a month. And you guys know, some of you guys are guilty of answering like this. I'm like, Nadine, what do you do? I have a 6-week program that helps people lose weight. And we meet with them once a week. And then, and it's really, really powerful. Like they have this huge, these people have this huge transformation. And like, that's how we speak. And it's so esoteric. It's so hard to follow. And I still don't think it's our fault. And I teach leadership in the essence of, I think we're responsible for everything. I still think it's so hard to be connected because of these cell phones and these Androids and these iPhones. So what do I mean about positioning? Now notice this, go from what I just shared. Now experience the feeling. Like even when I was just sharing that, it feels like content. Even when you're listening to me, it's actually a little hard to even stay focused. And people don't connect that way. It actually feels salesy. If you're getting this right now, you're having a huge freaking aha moment. Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, I can see some of them. Sorry, guys, I think our Zoom just disconnected. Our internet was going down yesterday, so hopefully it holds. All right, so are we streaming everywhere? I'm gonna keep going. Thanks, you guys. I keep going. So now feel what it feels like when I flip over here to positioning. Just so you guys know, I have a bunch of like pages up that may not be connected on this page, so FYI. Okay, so okay, there. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now let me flip over here to positioning. So we got content that I was leading with there. Let me flip over to positioning, starting with positioning. So now Sherry says to me, hey, Shanda, how are you? So what is it that you do for a living? Well, I'm not going to start with content or even what I do. I'm going to start with positioning. So I might say, Sherry, so I help people like Amy go from startup to a millionaire in 2 to 3 years. Right? I help people like Sasha sell, who's was a stay-at-home mom, go from stay-at-home mom to entrepreneur and retire her husband, right? And pay off $350,000 in debt. So I help entrepreneurs like that kind of deal with real life challenges so that they can create the life that they actually want. And in fact, our models, we help people take off, like I take off 5 months a year and have built what I consider a mini empire at 8 figures. And so I'm just on a mission to help people do exactly that, not miss their life while they're building their business. So who's interested in hearing more when I talk like that? Right? Who's interested in learning more when I talk like that? Go in the chat. Right? So who's interested in that? So it's a big difference, right? It's a huge difference when you operate from that place. Huge difference. So now I want you to write down on a piece of paper right now that you're going to, when someone asks you what you do, because people are disconnected with love, they're disconnected. You want to lead with positioning, not with what you actually do. Okay, positioning. So you might say, well, Shanda, I don't have a testimonial because I'm just starting a business. It doesn't matter. When I teach you what I'm about to teach you, which is the empathy model, you will actually see how positioning can look different. It doesn't have to look like a testimonial or a case study. It doesn't have to look like that. Okay, it can look like what I'm going to teach you in the empathy model, so that you can actually create products and services from this place. But I would start positioning here. So now, I don't want to confuse you, but when I go to different stages, a great example is I was. They were just high-fiving over there because they fixed it. Imagine I just spoke last week on multiple different Facebook groups, and when I got to the Facebook groups, what I was supposed to present was changing. They were all entrepreneurs, but what I was supposed to present was changing. So I had to go through this empathy model, and just think of it like this. My husband's reading a book on empathy right now. I love it. He's like, wow, it makes a huge difference. It's massive. If you start with the customer, you start with the client. This is backwards, because I'm going to tell you, I coach thousands of entrepreneurs every single week. Like, what a blessing that I get to do this for a living, like pinch me, right? But I'm going to tell you, when I talk to you guys all lead with your feelings, and you are not buying your product. You need to start with their feelings. Somebody's having a breakthrough right now. You need to start with their feelings. Imagine the marriages that would actually stay together if people led their life like this. This is why I say everything is leadership. It's not the tactic or the formula. What I'm about to teach you is the leadership way, in the essence of how do I think, right? That's leading my thoughts on how to create a product or service. Because I could say to you guys, Vicky, lead with empathy. John, lead with empathy. And you're like, okay, I am empathetic. Yeah, but when you get down to create your products and services, I'm going to tell you 9.5 times out of 10, you guys all start with yourself. You definitely do if it's not selling out. Or if you're stuck, you've gotten back on yourself. And you need to release into this. So let me get started. Okay, so I'm going to rip this off, please. Get out of here. So, okay, so here's what the empathy model looks like. Okay. So you need to think, what is the problem? Okay, what is the problem? This is where positioning is going to start. Okay, what is the problem that you're seeing in the world? And this is literally how to solve it. Okay, this is where your offer comes in, which is your money. Okay, so I want you to write this down, because normally, like our clients, we literally actually give them full-blown sheets on these, right? Because it's so important to learn this stuff. It is critically important to learn this stuff. Okay, so what is the problem? This problem needs to be like, you can't lead, can I swear? Do you guys mind if I swear for a sec? You can't lead shit unless you actually see a problem. And I don't care about what you think people need, this, that, and the other. That's where most people create products. What do I think people need? It's backwards. You need to start with the problem. And the way that looks is what drives you freaking nuts that you keep seeing over and over and over again with the ideal customer or client that you want to work with. Okay, so if you're just starting a business, just ask yourself, who do I want to work with? Don't get all freaking confused on this. Like, I need to figure out my avatar. Yes, you know what? You can figure out your avatar while you're making great money. You need to choose somebody that you're going to stand for. Just make a decision. Money loves speed. Make a decision. The longer you take to figure this out, the longer it takes for you to get into action, the longer it takes for you to get clear. If you don't feel clarity, you don't feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable for long enough, then you quit. So just don't do that to yourself. It's just simple leadership, right? So you got to go, okay, I'm going to lead my life. I'm going to follow Shanda's coaching. I'm either going to make a decision, just choose somebody that I'm going to help, or I've been in business for a while, and this is how I ended up creating list building, right? So I never woke up as a little girl and said, I want to teach list building. It never happened. It never happened. I didn't wake up and say, I want to show the world of entrepreneurs how to find more customers and clients. It never happened. Even when I say that, I'm like, it sounds so anticlimactic, but you have no business if you have no people. You can have the best offer in the world. You got no people, you got no business, right? And in fact, I would argue you and say, you got no people, it's even harder to do this. Because who do you think I get my problem solving from? I look at my people. So what happened was I kept speaking. I'll just ask you right now, how many of you guys have an email list of 7,000 or more? Put 7 or no, 7 or no. If you have an email list of 7,000 or more, put 7 or no. Okay, so you guys who are in your chats on YouTube or Facebook, look at the comments. You guys in VIP with me, look at the chat. Okay, look at the chat. And I mean this in a classy way. This is and I know it's happening on the comment threads because I see it all the time. It's the majority knows. I see it all the time. I'll be shocked if I'm wrong on that. I'll be completely shocked. But it's typically the same thing over and over and over again. And so here, and you guys look like you guys in VIP, you can see it, right? No. There's a couple 7s. It's almost all no's. That's called a license to print money. And that's, you need that as an entrepreneur. If you get a 50-50 answer, then you haven't hit the real problem. My entrepreneur's number one problem, and I see it all the time, you can spend all the money in the world figuring out how to blog, how to create the signature talk, how to create a digital course, and you'll be able to create a digital course from this. You can literally spend all your time preparing to be successful and let day after day after day turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years, that you don't have the revenue and the income that you want because you're still getting ready to get ready and you have no email list. And I'm going to tell you, if you're focused on social channels, that's great. but not before your email list. And I'm not making this up. I didn't just create this product because it was like something I wanted to sell. I created it because every time I hear your problem, I'm like, oh, I don't sell enough. Okay, you don't have enough volume. Oh, social media, nobody engages. Yeah, because only 7% see your post on Instagram currently while we're recording this right now. Right? Oh, I came up with a great product. It's amazing, but nobody's buying. Yeah, because you can't survey anybody and ask them how they want to be sold to. Right? So it always comes down to the list. Every problem I keep seeing, and it's been like this for years, it comes down to the list. So I'll be really honest, like I could teach list building laying on my floor and putting in zero effort to teach you how to do it. It's so easy. And when my clients do it, they realize how easy it is as well, right? But it's so important that if you don't have an email list, you are putting things in the wrong freaking order. And so that's when I looked at things, every time I got on a stage, I was selling other stuff that was not really selling, right? It wasn't really selling. I'd make some money and then who can feel me on this? Like sometimes I felt like I was like the world's best kept secret, but I'd make some money and I'd have to get back in the hustle and sell again. It was so hard for me to connect with you guys when like back then, because of the fact that I wasn't available emotionally because I had to always be in the grind of selling to pay for my home. And I do not think that is the leadership that a really powerful CEO needs to be holding. You need to be thinking about the customer and client and making decisions to move the company forward, not being inundated with the fact that if someone doesn't buy, you can't eat. You know what I mean? Like that is not a safe place for people to be with you. And so that's why when I looked at this problem, I was like, well, the solution is that these entrepreneurs need to get responsible and they need to build a list first. They need to put their business in the right order. They need to control their audience. If they controlled their audience, then they wouldn't have an issue financially. So then this comes down to, well, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? Right? Like, yes, you can change the world. If you think like this, you can change the world. If you just think like, what's the offer I'm going to make? And you go out and you try and find people to buy it. Well, I'm going to tell you that model doesn't work. It's very, very challenging. And the reason why you can see that this is even more challenging for you guys to probably hear. If somebody has a big platform and you're watching what they're making offers on, you have to watch because they're at a different stage that they have such authority with their audience that even if they launch something that's not great, their audience will buy it because they have such authority. I'm not saying that's right, but authority is connected to leadership. Authority is connected to leadership. And so when people have authority, people buy. And so how does somebody get authority? How do you get authority? Well, you have to be empathetic. You actually genuinely have to create from the customer in mind. What I hear so many people creating from is, I want this, or I don't want to do one-on-one coaching, or I don't want to do this, and you start with, I don't want to, that's the first layer. And then the next layer, when you release from that very I-centric, egocentric conversation that doesn't have you available for anybody. Have you ever been in a fight with somebody that all they keep saying is, well, I did this and I did that. Like, you know, I got up early yesterday, or I brought you flowers, or I wrote that email for you, or you're like, oh my Lord, like you can't do anything with that person. That person's in such a low emotional state of leadership that even if they're highly talented, you can't go to the finish line with that person. Are you guys understand? Are you picking up what I'm saying right now? Go in the chat and tell me, are you picking up what I'm saying right now? Is this making sense? Okay, so I want it to make sense for you, because if I can be a great coach to you right now and get in there, I'm going to tell you, working harder is not going to get you freedom. It's just not. It's the way that you lead your thoughts in how you give, how you serve, how you create offers. If you can create them through the empathy model, the game's going to change. It's going to completely change. So now here, I want you to walk through this with me. I want you to think, and I'll hot seat somebody as well, right? So here's what I want you to think. What's the problem that you see? It doesn't have to be perfect. We got to get started. But what's the problem that you constantly see? The one that makes your hair stand up in the back of your head, the one that for some of you guys, if you're a controller, it really makes you angry. Like it flips a switch in you when people do that. So for you, it might be negativity, right? I just know my peeps, right? My controllers, my promoters, my supporters, my analyzers. Those are all our leadership quadrants, right? I can tell like the different quadrants, right? So what makes you lose your voice and feel like, there's no point, right? Those are my supporters, right? Those are my supporters. So you just like, forget it. It's not worth it. Like, I don't want to ruffle the feathers, but you keep seeing it over and over and over again. My controllers, it flips a switch with you. You get pissed. Like it just like, gets you so mad, right? My analyzers, you often sit back and you know the right answers, right? And you typically get defensive. You keep a checklist of all the things that people do wrong, and it keeps coming up on the checklist. That's you, analyzers, right? And so imagine if somebody kept a checklist on you, just saying. Sean's like, no, right? And then my promoters, like, honestly, you are so enthusiastic and you love people so much, but you see it over and over and over again, and you get inspired to create something to help them, but you have a hard time following through and finishing what you start. Okay, so the only reason why I know all these quadrants is because of our leadership program, right? And I see it, it's not a you problem, it is when you're in your power, in your quadrants, you crush it. And these things don't take you out. When you're out of your power, this is what it looks like. So often when you see a big problem, it often knocks you off the kilter somehow. And it's a good feedback indicator that you need to get back in your power and say, well, how could they solve it? And that should fly off your tongue no matter what you are, an analyzer, supporter, controller, promoter. It doesn't matter what type you are, like personality dominance you are. It should just come off your tongue. You know what I mean? Like you just say it, you're confident in it because you're so assertive and clear. Even if you're not an assertive person, you're clear that if they just did this, it's so clear to you that they would solve that problem that you keep seeing. This is not your opinion problem of every now and then I see this problem. Like every now and then I see people get stuck on their messaging. Yeah, but that's not the main, like I've seen more people create multiple six-figure businesses and still not know their messaging. So I know that isn't the biggest problem. I could probably solve that in like a 20-minute conversation. Truly. I could probably solve that in a 20-minute conversation, your messaging. Definitely in an hour. Definitely. That'd be a long time. We'd have some time to drink a cup of tea or coffee. Like it's not that hard, but you think it is because you're not thinking through this process. And when you think through this process, your messaging becomes very clear because this is your positioning. The problem you see that keeps coming up and the way you solve it, the way you articulate that naturally is what makes you special. Now, don't get me wrong. I think copywriting, and in this challenge, you're going to have copywriting training. I think copywriting is really powerful. It's extraordinarily powerful to learn how to language things. But that's also your leadership, right? Your leadership is how you language things. So if you work with a copywriter and you don't think this way, then your copywriter is working with a half bag of goods because you're leading the conversation. And they're grabbing it and articulating it and wordsmithing it the best way they can based on your leadership. Who's getting this? Who's like really, it's like clicking. Is this clicking at all, you guys? Okay, so this matters because this is also how I sell. This is how you sell. Whether it's what do you do for a living, right? You're actually talking about your positioning. Or when I go into my offer, when I set up my offer, my positioning comes in. I'm positioning the offer. In other words, some people say it's like the backstory. And the backstory comes into this conversation of understanding the backstory, which is the positioning of the problem that you're initially having. If you guys get this, I know I might have confused a few people, but if you get this, you're going to realize that success leaves so many clues that whether it's about telling a story to an offer, if that's a tactic you're using, or if it's like me, I don't tell a bunch of stories to offers. I just share with you the positioning, which is also how I would do a backstory. So, example, here's how this could work. If I told a story, this is so easy when you get this. It's just a way of thinking. And that is your leadership. You cannot get away from yourself. You have to freaking well think empathetically to be able to crush it. I have seen more talented people that are so much smarter than me go down in flames, frustrated because they're constantly thinking about the smart or tactical way of doing things. Don't do that. Be an evangelist. An evangelist cares about people. An evangelist thinks about you first. An evangelist, when they speak, you feel seen and heard. It's like things are opening up. Everybody is naturally born an evangelist. Okay, if you love anybody or take care of anybody in your life, that is evangelist style. Okay, so when we create products and services, it's not about all of, like, the details don't matter if you don't get this. Do you hear what I'm saying? So if I was going to do a backstory into an offer, I can't even create the backstory unless I understand what's the problem and what's their solution before I ever create my way of solving that. So if I did a backstory, like a great example, I used to be a real estate agent, and I would go and I would show homes. And when I would go and show homes, I would be sweating because I would always be late because I am directionally challenged. And I knew that there was no way that I was going to create financial freedom in my life if I had to show one home at a time. Okay. And so I had an aha moment. I just took the bridge. I had an aha moment, and that aha moment was literally if I could sell one to many, right, over the internet, through conference calls, whatever, through different, real estate markets, that I could probably find a way to become financially free, because I wasn't going to do it showing one home at a time. And so these are where I've created all my models inside of my company. So I want to show you, and all I'm doing is I'm positioning. I want to show, and I talked about the problem, real estate agent showing one property at a time. And I want to show you how I went from being a sweaty real estate agent to somebody that sold over $100 million in real estate. Okay. And so that's a bridge all the way through. Now, let me show you another way of doing this. So, and tell me which one really stands out to you. Okay. So here's the thing. I just asked you guys how many people have an email list of 7,000 or more. And the majority of you guys said no. And the truth is that the problem that you're facing inside your business is, even while you're learning, you can't make money while you're learning. And so it doesn't matter if you create a great product, nobody's going to see it, or not enough people are going to see it. Or if you have a sales problem right now, maybe you have a good product, you have a sales problem, you don't know how to sell it, maybe that's you. Well, then here's the deal. If you don't have enough people to talk to, you can't even get good at sales, because sales is about momentum. The more people that you talk to on a daily basis, the quicker you'll get at actually selling. So every time I move your business problem around, it always comes back down to the fact that you need an email list. You need an email list that you can talk to 20 people or 15 people every single day, so that you can get good at selling your products, know what they actually want, and sell off the shelf so that you more than make the money that you need, but you have an overflow. And so what I've seen is that entrepreneurs don't have that email list, and they're putting their business in the wrong order. And as long as you keep doing that, you got to ask yourself, how long have you been trying to build the business that you want and been frustrated because you're not where you know you should be? So that's why I created, and I'm not making you an offer, but my Pace Private program. right? In my Pace Private program, I show you how to build an email list. I walk you through with a coach twice a month. Plus, I teach you in masterminds how to monetize, how to create year-long ascension plans, how to think. We have leadership coaches, we have everybody in there. And we spend a short amount of time building the list and the rest of the year monetizing the list. So would you mind if I took a moment and I shared that with you? I'm not making an offer right now, but you see how you can follow me along and you can see like, oh, I'm that person, I'm that person, I'm that person. Who liked one or two better? Just a check. One or two better. Would you like one or two better? Right? Two. A lot of you guys are saying two. Okay, so one person said one and the rest of you guys are saying two. Okay, so we spend a lot of time trying to turn ourselves inside out to storytell. And stories are powerful. They really are. My friend Pete Vargas teaches it all the time. It's super, super powerful. And Pat, who is the superstar with him, has taught him how to do stories, and it's powerful. So I'm not taking anything away from that. But you kind of need those guys to teach you how to create a story. And then what I found is that every time I hired somebody to teach me how to do a story, if I needed to change the story, I was screwed. Anybody else experience that? Has anybody learned storytelling yet? And when you change the offer or you're like, oh my God, my story doesn't relate anymore. Well, that drove me nuts. Because I'm like, so, okay, there goes another 25,000. There goes another 25,000 or whatever. Maybe do a workshop for 5,000. And I'm like, because I never actually learned how to do it for so many years because I would just, it was the brilliance of the trainers. And I think that these storytelling trainers are brilliant. And I think everybody should learn storytelling. So I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying become the leader that can actually create your own thought process so that no matter what, wherever you are, whatever country you're in, you're empowered to be able to create the difference that you want to make for people, and you're creating products and services that they care about. Okay, they're creating products and services that they care about. Let's hot seat somebody real quick. Who wants to be hot seat? All right, Sean, let's go.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm really excited, kind of jumping out of my skin right now.
Can we put
So
Sean up on the first? Perfect.
somebody had a brilliant idea of putting out my service at $997 a month for the course of a year and packaging all my services
Okay.
together.
Well, so see what you just did, Sean? You went right to that. So I want to go to the empathy model for a second. Okay. So what's the problem that you see? Who's your ideal client?
Construction contractors. My
Okay,
positioning is I help construction contractors raise to their next scale of magnitude.
that's great. That's great. So I would even like to take that even more specific, but that's a lot better
Oh,
than where
more
you start.
specific would be residential to commercial. That's
Okay,
a
great.
big barrier to break out for construction contractors.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if I look at what's the problem that you keep seeing consistently for these guys that it just triggers you when you hear it.
Software. I got a pet peeve over software. Everybody purchase, and then 99.9% of businesses out there, they purchase software and then they only use 10% of it and say this software doesn't work for my company when they should be saying we didn't set this software up to do what it should for our company.
Oh, I am so guilty of that. Like he's
Everyone
100%
does that.
right. I
And that's
literally, I literally just switched to a new software because it was frustrating the shit out of me the last week. I was like, damn it, just move to this one. Let's go. And because it was just such a pain in the ass to figure out. So he's 100% right. So that's great. So what is the problem and what is the solution that you would give people like me or anybody who is jumping around? We're ordering software, we're doing that, but we're not setting it up to win. So what's the solution?
you have to have, well, there's four reasons why your software is not working correctly. One is the code of accounts. It has to know the product and the materials you're using. If that's not in your computer, it can't work. It's the proper flow of data. Everybody goes from accounting and then backwards, which dumps enormous amounts of paperwork on the field. If you go in the right direction, The accounting has to do like 12 more keystrokes a day, but they don't have to do weeks and weeks worth of work at month's ending. Who is setting up your software? That's the big one right there. You need a professional, somebody that knows what your end result looks like. Your supervisor doesn't know that. Your data entry clerk doesn't know that. Your IT person doesn't know your business enough to do that. You need someone like myself to come in and do it. And then accuracy, consistency, and transparency. That happens automatically if you get the first three
Okay,
right.
so let me give you some coaching. So Sean, the piece where you don't have the person in your company, your IT person, your clerk, you guys, like, do you see what I'm saying? So you want to simplify this. So you got to be like, okay, there's 4 reasons why people are buying software. So now you guys look, I'm going to take it from my standpoint because, I understand what he's talking about because I've done it
Yes.
a million times, just did it again. And he's 100% right. And it takes people like Sean to go out there and talk about this. And even just hot seating him right now has me in my head going, like, I know where I'm going next, just from him taking a moment and me hot seating him. Now imagine if he brings some more heat behind this, right? So it's like, I'm just going to use my industry, Sean, in the coaching industry, not the construction industry, because it just will be easier for me to,
Yes, it's
like,
all the same.
but it's like, so if it's like, say I'm Sean and I'm helping people actually go in and set up their business to scale using technology. Let me just say that, okay? So it might look like this, like, okay, you guys, seriously, like entrepreneurs are setting up companies. They're buying things like Infusionsoft, HubSpot, Entreport, Aweber, text messaging softwares, QuickBooks. They're like all these things, and they're like, they don't even know how to use this shit. And so what's happening is like they're sitting there just flipping around, and nobody in their company knows how to use it, or they do, but they're not There's no leadership. There's no leadership anywhere. Like nobody actually knows where they're going. So the problem isn't that the technology is not working. The problem is that the people who are leading it have no plan to scale the company. And so it becomes more of a problem than actually working off of like a really good playbook that takes them to the next level. So technology can scale you and scale you fast and reduce your overhead. Reduce your overhead and help you scale so much faster. It influences your marketing. It influences your staff and your employment. It influences everything. So the way that they can solve that is they need to know these 4 things. And I go boom, 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 like you said, but you need to bring heat. They need to do this, they need to do this, they need to do this. But most importantly, they need to literally have somebody on their team that architects a playbook that the IT person can follow, that the data clerks can follow, so that things are actually streamlining to scale versus clunking its way forward financially. So here's what I can do. I can come in and I can playbook out your company in this area. You show me the goal that you're trying to create, and I'll show you the software, the playbook, and everything, and I will playbook out the entire thing inside your company for X. Okay, so you guys, he's speaking a little bit to like more my size companies. We're in that process right now. And I will tell you, this is what it looks like. It is frustrating. It
Oh
is
my God.
people are creating processes and they're all good people, right? But like everybody's creating processes because we're growing so fast. This is his ideal client, right? So it's like literally you speak to, like when he's speaking to their pain points. So another problem could be people are creating processes and procedures inside your company, and things are being created that you don't even know. Great example, I have a friend of mine who somebody on their branding team created a registration opt-in page. It's not what they do for a living. It's not, they lost the client because of it. They actually lost 2 clients. These 2 clients pay them $4,000 a month. They lost 2 clients inside of 30 days. That's only the clients that they know about. That's only the clients that they know about. And so entrepreneurs are losing money because they don't have processes and systems and playbooks in place. And what's happening is that, so that's the solution, products, playbooks, things like that in place. And the problem is that they're frustrated because they're trying to grow their company. And what's happening is people are innovating. and they're creating things. So pages are not correct, and links are incorrect, or processes take too long, or they like, you know what I mean? Like the entrepreneurs are holding all their processes in their own head, and their teams are trying to be psychics figuring it out. And so they're trying, I'm biblical, so I probably wouldn't use the word psychic, but
They use the computer as a glorified typewriter.
yeah.
They take information, put it in, take it out, just to put it back in again. The amount of human error and labor there
Okay,
is
stop.
phenomenal.
So you get it, right? So you need to
Mhm.
keep fine tuning that. Do you guys see how I fine tune it even as I've said it? I've gotten more intimate. Intimacy is where power comes from. That's why being too busy, you don't actually get down. You got to say these things out loud tonight, right? Like you need to write the empathy model down on a piece of paper, and all of you guys need to just start saying things out loud, right? And you need to think about the customer. You need to like, you got to think like you're not trying to sell anything. Like you're not trying to sell anything. That you cannot be thinking about selling. You're not, you're not, you're not positioning the offer because you're trying to sell. You're actually in, you're actually in the complaint. This is the complaint. Write your notes down, okay? This is the complaint. When you get this, I'm telling you, you guys will sell out. You will sell out. You will speak the language of your customer because the way you created it was from their language, right? So as I'm speaking, helping Sean, I'm going right into my own situation where I'm like, there's nothing more frustrating than thinking that we had multiple meetings and this is what we're doing. And then when it gets executed, it doesn't get executed the way we communicate. And that's because interpretation happens. And the solution is if you had a playbook that everybody could follow, which is more than an SOP. The SOPs get created off that. Then your company would run smooth and an entrepreneur could scale. I don't know if you know this, but companies scale from 6 million to 30 million in 1 year. So that's that ideal customer, right? It's in that price point. I wouldn't use 0 to 100,000 because it's not that's not the problem for that group. You get what I'm saying? So I would use the language. So companies go from 6 million to 30 million in 1 year because they playbook their company. So here's what I can do. I can help come into your company and playbook. And just so you guys know, I mean, like in my world, that's a $70,000, $80,000, deal for someone like Sean. Do you know what I mean? I know this because I just invested in it. And so when it's articulated right, that's when the money starts coming in. Because you're thinking about the customer client, you're speaking the way you're speaking. They are bitching and complaining about this. And you keep seeing the same complaint come up over and over and over again. Sean, I'm going to take you off the screen, but you're good, okay? You will hear them complain about this over and over and over again. Can you guys take Sean off? Over and over and over again. When you hear them complaining about this, you need to be empathetic and listen to the words. Like Spencer, what are the words they're using? Right? Like, what are the words that people are using? If you're just starting a business, well, you don't just start a business like, okay, let me just throw spaghetti up against the wall. I mean, in some aspects you do because you're making guesses, but you have an idea of this. You have an idea of this. What's happening is you're hearing people complaining. That's the indicator somebody in the market, you, needs to create product. Not the hair on my arms is standing up, my spiritual friends. The reason why people think spiritual people are broke all the time is because they're all leading each other with that. Yes, the Holy Spirit makes hair stand up on your arms. It's powerful, but you still need to take action. I read this, grab that book for me really quickly. Yeah, really quickly. Thank you. I don't know if you guys ever read The Circle Maker. This is the book that goes with it. Basically, you pray around something every day, right? And this, I sent this to my 1% clients today. I said, listen to this. In their hearts, human plans their course. In their hearts, humans plan their course. So in our hearts, we plan our course. Well, our hearts are empathetic. If you have a child and another person's child falls down and skins their knees, you can actually feel it. You can feel it, right, my parents? Right? Like if you have a child and somebody else's child falls down in front of you, you can actually feel that child, like you feel it. That's your heart. That's empathy. The greatest entrepreneurs on the planet never created something out of their own. It has nothing to do with their, like, design your schedule, design your schedule around your work hours. Don't design what you offer around like what you want. Like, and so many gurus talk that way. And I promise you, if you went and followed them around their house, that is not how they're creating products and services. It's not. It's not. It is not. They fell into an industry that they noticed with their heart that people were complaining over and over and over about it. And what happened is they had an opinion on it and they knew how to very easily solve it. Just innately. Your history, your wisdom, your life experience, something just like, you're like, God, this is so easy to solve. Just do this. I know you've all had that experience with advice for a friend. Okay. And then your offer is what you can do about it. That's it. So in their hearts, in our hearts, humans plan our course. But God establishes our steps. But God establishes our steps. And so I'm not getting all spiritual on you, but I kind of am. I can't hide that about myself. I just am, right? So give me grace about that. I love it if you're Catholic, Jewish, spiritual, not religious, Christian. None of that matters to me. I do think faith is a big piece in actually going to the next level. That's why I call my company, Hardcore Business. Okay. So if you're not aligned with that, you can tune out now. Bye, have a good life. Okay. So I really want to teach you how to operate like this, because I think we're taught things like money doesn't grow on trees. We're taught we're taught how to go to school. I mean, Elon Musk is like created his own school, right? Why? Because he doesn't want to put his kids in the system. And if you're a teacher, just so you know, I love and adore you. I'm not criticizing you. I'm sure you are trying to make a huge impact in that world, and you should. I have so many teachers that we work with. We have speech therapists, teachers, so many. My son has a homeschool teacher, but like the curriculum of teaching our children, teaching ourselves how to think outside the box, because the system puts us in the box. And you are an entrepreneur, you're supposed to create the box, break it, create it, break it, create it, break it, because you're leading people to the top of their mountain. And you're going to keep getting better at what you do, because as you keep working something, you get refined. And this is why it hurts my heart when people keep creating courses and products too soon. So I'm going to give you a quick nugget on this. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to monetize, literally how to monetize digital presentations, events, all that type of stuff online. So Barry's going to come and train you guys tomorrow. You guys excited about that? Woo woo! Hopefully you are super excited about that, because she does Tony Robbins, she does Dean Graziosi, she does ours, she does Jeff Walker, she used to do Suzanne Evans. She's incredible at what she does, and she sees all of our offers and how we monetize. Tomorrow's whole day will be on monetization. But I want you to think like this. Now, when I think like this and I've got my positioning, which is really how I got to my offer in the first place, right? You tell somebody how you decided to create this first before you make an offer, and boom, you have a sellout. Boom, you have a sellout. Okay. So now when I go to make my offer, all I'm thinking about is like, how can I solve this problem? Like, what's my part? Like, what part can I do to solve that problem? And then I think, what do I need to offer? Like, what are the steps? Think in steps. Like when we're doing playbooks right now, we're thinking in categories, which is like steps, right? Think in steps. What are the steps that somebody needs to take to solve that problem? What is the steps? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. What are the steps? Those become the categories for your product, service, and offering. They are also your selling bullets. why you created those are actually your selling bullets. Do you guys want me on Saturday to go through that with you guys on Saturday? Do you want me to do a live on Saturday to go through that? Okay, awesome. Can you write that down? So Saturday, I'm going to go live, and I'll go live and I'll train that. I'm going to train this part. I'll remind you guys of this really quickly, and then I'll come back into here and build out this part. Are you guys good with that? Because tomorrow we're going to talk about monetizing, like even doing something like this, events, or like all these different ways that you can monetize. Okay, so quick question. Does anybody need a coach to talk to that is not currently a client of mine? We have a bunch of our PACE clients that are on here and List Power Marketing Mastery. You guys have your coach. It will spin you if you go to another coach. But somebody who doesn't have a coach, do you guys need any coaching? If you do, let me know. Okay, so some people in VIP do. Can you guys drop a coach's corner? Okay, they're gonna drop a coach's corner for you in VIP, and then they're also gonna do it on YouTube and on Facebook. I know we blew, like, there was like 300 people almost that booked a call yesterday in seconds. So there's 9 coaches on today. So there's 9 coaches on to support you today. So if you are currently not a client of mine and you need a coach, go ahead and do that. If you're currently a client of mine, then just go back to your coach. Go back to the Facebook group, go back to your coach and ask them the specific question. Obviously, they've got your file, they know what you're doing, and that would be smarter to have one coach take you to a finish line. If you are not a client of ours and you need a coach, then they're dropping a coaching link for you guys for the Coach's Corner. So go find that in the comment section or the Zoom chat. Okay, so let's tee up the homework. So here's what the homework is. I want you to go into the Facebook group. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, or you guys on VIP, I want you to go back into the Facebook group, and I'm gonna buy somebody lunch for 2 entire months. I know some of you guys need me to take care of you like this. I know some of you guys need me to take care of you like this. And so we are going to buy you lunch. So we're gonna use a company like Freshka or whatever. Whatever in your city and state. We have a company that we do keto and paleo with, and we use it in case the woman who cooks for us, in case she needs to grab a meal that's healthy and doesn't have time to cook with our son. So we can find some really great places in your area, and we will buy you 2 months of lunch so that you can just pop it in the oven and roll. Okay, so here's what the homework is. I know that when you take action, you get clear. And so I don't want you sitting on these lives and not taking action. So the empathy model can be intimidating. And so if you just sit down and do it and think through it, even imperfectly, can win you lunch. Okay, so this isn't about like who does it the best. This is about who actually does it. And I see you going all in. Okay, so I want to see you going all in. So I want you to just share what before you learned this and now, what changed for you? Like now that you've learned the empathy model, what changed for you? Give me some feedback. I want to hear in the Facebook group what opened up. How is this going to shift for you now that you know this? If you want to share what you realized about your own positioning, go ahead and do that. But the big thing that I want to hear is what changed. What changed in your heart? What changed in your mind? What changed in your empowerment? What changed emotionally inside you now that you know the empathy model? And how is that going to move you forward? That's what I want to hear. And how is that going to move you forward? All right, you guys, we will see you back here. I ended perfectly on time. We're going to see you guys back here tomorrow morning. If you're a VIP, I'll see you at 8:15 a.m. If you are in general admission, I will see you at 9 a.m. Barry is going to be joining me tomorrow, and we're going to be talking everything about monetizing, presentations, events, offers, all of that fun stuff. I know it will be epic, absolutely epic tomorrow. All right, you guys, God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. See you in the Facebook group.